Okay, I think we should officially be live on both platforms, just making sure I can actually see it on YouTube. Okay, cool. I can see it on YouTube. So let's dive in. This is a trip. Huh? Alyssa's over on Twitch. Okay, so let's see.
I'm also posting in my Discord.
Oh, that's really sweet. Thank you. Okay, so let's see if we can get this started. I've practiced this presentation a bunch of times, but it's trippy doing it live. Okay, here we go. So, hello everybody. My name is Sean. If you don't already know, I'm a mental health coach, and welcome to the End the Cycle launch event. So today, I'm looking to do two main things. The first is to talk a little bit about neurodivergence, specifically within the framing of E.N.D, which is my coaching process. E.N.D stands for Emotional Empowerment, Narrative Navigation, and Dharma Design, and I'll talk a little bit more about what those things are. So we're going to talk about that, hopefully provide some value there. And then the second thing is, in order to implement a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about, we're going to be talking a little bit about a course that it's called the End the Cycle launch event. This event is meant to launch. And so I'm going to talk to you all a little bit about the course and sort of what you get and all that good stuff. So let's start by talking about the problems that I often see people come to me with when it comes to neurodivergence. So one of the first things that I hear from a lot of people that I start working with is something that I call sequencing paralysis, which is basically the idea that whenever you go to start something, there's always like 10 million prerequisites that you need to do first. So it'll be like, well, before I do this, I have to do that. And before I do that, I have to do this. But I can't do that yet because I have to do this over here. Or even if it's not that there's all these prerequisites, it's just that there's 10 million different paths and you can't decide which one because you're afraid that you're going to make the wrong decision. Like, I don't know which one is the right choice, and so I can never make any sort of decision, and it stresses me out, overwhelms me, etc. The second thing that I hear all the time is this idea of racing thoughts. So whether that's you wake up first thing in the morning and your thoughts are racing with all sorts of stressful thoughts about, work and responsibilities of life, all that sort of thing, or when you're going to bed at night, you can't go to sleep, you can't get to sleep because your thoughts are constantly racing, or even just, all throughout the day, your brain is just a noisy, crowded place, and you can't get anything done, can't hear yourself think because you have all of these racing thoughts. So with these problems, there are some solutions that I also commonly hear. One is you just need to be more disciplined, which always makes me giggle because it's like, oh, right. I just forgot to flip the discipline switch. If I had just remembered to turn on the discipline switch, then I could have, done everything that I needed to do. Thank you so much for that very helpful reminder that all I needed to do was just be more disciplined, and that would solve all my problems. Or get a planner. This one reminds me of in Harry Potter, the first Harry Potter, where Neville gets a remember all, which is supposed to tell you when you've forgotten something, and it lights up red, which means that he's forgotten something. And he says, the only problem is I can't remember what I've forgotten. And similarly, with a planner, it's like if I was organized and could structure myself enough to use and keep track of a planner, then I wouldn't need the planner for the thing that it is trying to fix. And so it's this weird sort of catch-22 situation. So what does work? Well, we start with the first part of my coaching process, which is emotional empowerment, which is basically the idea that throughout our lives, we are essentially conditioned to ignore our emotions, to fight against our emotions. Whether we know it or not, most of us are constantly invalidating our emotions. Things like, suck it up and be a man, or suck it up, buttercup, or, real men don't cry, or even things that are meant to be very sort of helpful and supportive, like, hey, it'll be okay, things like reassurance. These things end up actually stuffing our emotions down and not giving them room to exist. And so emotional empowerment is the idea of giving your emotions room to breathe and helping them to feel heard and understood, so that instead of having this antagonistic relationship with your emotions where you feel like you're constantly fighting against yourself, instead you're able to work with your emotions and move forward in your life. So there is one particular emotion that I see show up for a lot of people who have neurodivergence that seems to be sort of the raid boss, or maybe I should say avoiding this emotion is the raid boss. And that emotion is shame. So for a lot of people with neurodivergence, what I hear is that shame turns into a sort of fuel source for them, that they're able to do all sorts of things in order to try to avoid feeling shame. So a good example of this is I hear a lot of people talk about how they're able to get stuff done at work because, their boss is watching them and making sure that they actually get stuff done. If they don't get stuff done, they'll get fired, they'll feel ashamed, all this sort of stuff. But when it comes to anything intrinsic, anything that actually matters to them, they can't get themselves to do it because they don't have any sort of fuel source for that. All of their fuel is from this avoiding of shame. And it does allow them to get things done, but the problem is that it is a corrosive fuel source. So yes, it will allow you to get things done, but it will tear up your engine along the way and bring a lot of suffering into your life. And so one of the things that we start to work on is where this fuel source got established in the first place, which leads us into narrative navigation, which is the second phase of my coaching process. So narrative navigation is this idea that we all have narratives that are written for us throughout our life. And to be clear, these narratives are always meant to help us. They are adaptive. They help us to survive. And so the problem is that sometimes those narratives become maladaptive. So sometimes they remain very helpful. So you can think about narratives sort of like looping lines of code on a computer. So there are some narratives that run that are very helpful, like, oh, I get up every morning and I brush my teeth, or I get up every morning and I eat breakfast. And those help us to go about our day to day without having to, consciously think about everything. It's just sort of part of the routine, part of the narrative. But then there are narratives that become maladaptive. They stop helping us and start hurting us. And so what narrative navigation is all about is first identifying what narratives exist for you, and then identifying which ones are helpful and which ones have become maladaptive over time. And one of the places that I see narratives get, what's the right way to put it? Narratives get established for people with neurodivergence. A big example that I see is in school. So in school, a common example that I hear is that there will be a kid that is sitting in school and they're trying to work on a worksheet. And they look around at all of the other kids, and all of the other kids seem to be able to do the worksheet. And the kid knows that they're just as smart as their other kids. In fact, they're told it all the time. People like parents, teachers, etc. tell them, oh, you have so much potential. You're so smart. You have so much potential if you would only apply yourself. And so they know they're smart, but for whatever reason, everyone else seems to be able to do the worksheet and they can't do it. And so they start to try to make sense of that, because that's our brain's job, right? Is to sort of like solve puzzles, make sense of things, figure things out. And so they come to these conclusions about themselves based on these circumstances that they are in. And most of the time, the conclusions that I hear for people that are struggling with neurodivergence are things like, I'm lazy, I'm busted, I'm incapable, some version of this. And it's devastating, because then as you go throughout life becomes about avoiding these narratives. So earlier I was mentioning shame. And the idea is that one of the reasons that, this sequencing paralysis and racing thoughts happen is because people are constantly trying to avoid reinforcing these narratives. Oh, if I start something and I don't do it the right way, everything is not stacked in my favor from the beginning, then it's going to prove that I am lazy, that I am busted, that I am incapable. And so it paralyzes them. And so the way that we start to shift this narrative is to talk a little bit about this idea that they are neurodivergent in a neurotypical world. It's sort of like being left-handed in a right-handed world. It is just kind of objectively harder because the world is not built for the way that your mind works, the way that the strategies that people teach to sort of, go through a worksheet are not the way that your mind intuitively works. And so then we start to talk about Dharma design, which is this idea that it's essentially intentionally crafting a life that is fulfilling for you. As we start to shift these narratives and we start to process these emotions and create a better relationship with these emotions, we're able to start to build on a foundation that is a little bit more stable so that you are able to intentionally craft something that is fulfilling for you. And a big part of what that looks like is this idea of working with your mind rather than against it. And for a lot of people who are neurodivergent, they really like shiny things. And this is both literally and metaphorically. So literally shiny, as in things that are, sparkle and are colorful and exciting. And then also on a metaphorical level, a lot of people that I work with, they like puzzles. They like figuring things out. They like solving things. They like a little bit of challenge rather than sort of, the day-to-day routine things. And the other part that is a big factor in this sort of building something that is fulfilling for you is this idea of neurodivergent structure. So a lot of times when I talk with people, one of the things that they come to me with is they'll say, I know that I really thrive under structure, but establishing it feels impossible for me. And what we usually find is that the reason that it feels so impossible for them is because they're trying to establish neurotypical structure, which in my experience is usually pretty linear. So it'll be on Monday I do this, on Tuesday I do this, on Wednesday I do this, so on and so forth. Whereas neurodivergent structure is cyclical. So instead of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc., there will be some days that you're a potato. And there will be other days that you will get 10 times more done than somebody who is neurotypical could do. The problem with neurodivergence is that a lot of people think that their mind doesn't work as well. And the truth is that your mind actually works too well. It's like it's like your brain is a supercomputer. And the problem is that for a lot of the tasks that you are asked to do in life, it feels like you're a supercomputer that's being asked to play pinball. It's just far too simple of a task, and your brain needs more stimulation. And so in starting to establish these neurodivergent structures where we practice these sort of cyclical cycles, the thing that interrupts that natural cycle, the way that your mind sort of naturally works, is our old pal shame. That on the days that you feel like a potato, you beat yourself up because you say, why aren't you being more productive? And on the days that you are doing a whole bunch of stuff, you say, see, you can do so much, why don't you do more on your potato days? And so it interrupts the whole flow of the cycle and you end up being paralyzed. So I can talk about all of this stuff, but how do you know that it actually works? Well, the short answer is you don't. And I think that that's actually a good thing because I never want y'all to take my word as gospel. I think that the most impactful work that I see is when people experience things for themselves. And that is infinitely more valuable than anything that I could ever provide you in a presentation. So the first thing is that I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to go out and take this for a test drive and see how it works for you. The second is that I do believe that proof is a valuable thing and an important thing. So I want to talk to y'all a little bit about what sort of proof is present in the work that I do. So the first is that this is what I do with clients. So I have spent the last 4 years of my life working on this, codifying this, putting these frameworks together and understanding what works best and what doesn't. And I see 40 plus clients a week and I have a 98% satisfaction score from over 1,600 ratings now. It might be 1,700, I haven't checked in a minute. The other is that you can hear directly from people that I've worked with. So here's one example. The steady progress I've made with Sean over months of coaching have amounted to life-changing improvements in my career and mental health. I leave each session knowing that I'm growing and empowering myself in the most sustainable way. Here's another one. I felt like I had a new perspective about how to look at my insecurities. I've only had one session so far. This was after one session, but I'm feeling more in tune with myself and where my insecurities are coming from, how to move through them and work with the way my brain works instead of against it. Here's the third. Coaching helped me find comfort in who I am. The constant internal conflict I had before is now pretty much gone. This one really blows my mind. Think for a second about that voice in your head that constantly, beats you up or paralyzes you, whatever the case. Imagine if that voice was just not present anymore. And then this one, in 7 sessions, I've made more progress in productivity with my ADHD than I have in a year with my psychiatrist. And I've seen a lot of therapists. None of them have really been able to help me with this problem. I feel like I'm in uncharted waters, and I'm feeling hopeful for the first time in a long time. This is unfortunately something that I hear a lot, that when people go through the sort of traditional means of support, they are met with a lot of the sort of classic solutions that I was talking about in the beginning, whether that is something like a planner that, can definitely be helpful, just not by itself in my experience. Or they'll get medication, which again, I think medication can be life-saving. I think medication can be amazing. But the feedback that I get from a lot of the people that I work with is that the medication, when they take the medication, they feel like they have to sort of lock a part of themselves up. A part of themselves sort of feels suppressed and sometimes even numb. And so when people are able to start to work with their mind rather than against it, I see a lot more of them be able to sort of come out, flourish, exist in the world. I've been talking a lot. I'm going to take a quick drink of water. So, with all of this said, how do we actually apply this framework? So that's the second part of this presentation, which is about the course that this whole event is about. So let's talk about what you get in this End the Cycle course. So the first is that you get 15 videos and you get one bonus video because you're here for the live event. I think I pasted it in the Google Meet. Let me make sure, hold on. Yes, I did. So just be sure to save that link. That is the bonus video. And so the 15 videos, these are them. So you get, I'm going to see if I can do it all in one breath. You ready? You get introduction, finding good mental health help, validation, sitting with your emotions, embracing framework, establishing your counsel, communication, thread hunting, neurodivergent narrative, immigrants narrative, self-hate narrative, the gifted kid narrative, purpose work, meditation, spirituality, and conclusion. And then because you are here, you also get the bonus yoga video. And then you also get the course comes with a digital workbook that helps you to work through the concepts that I'm talking about here. And then you also get, if you purchase today, let me send you a link real quick, hold on. Where's the window? That's what I need. So this is the link. I have so many windows up that I can't find the window that I'm looking for. This is the link for the course. So if you get the course today, then you also get a physical version of the workbook, which is normally $50, but instead it's free for showing up and sort of being the first to try this out. So this is an example of the workbook. This is the communication boundaries page. It is, so you can see on the page that it talks about reflective listening, open-ended questions, validation, I statements, going meta, asking for help, stating your needs, boundary setting, etc. These are all things that I talk about in more detail in the video, and then I literally sort of bring up the workbook with you and go through that in the course. This is what the physical workbook looks like if you decide to get the physical workbook. You also get a community. So one of the ways in which I launched this course is that I launched it on a platform called Substack, which is not a course platform. But the reason that I launched it on Substack is because the way that it works is you'll be able to actually comment on the course, and then other people that are taking the course and myself as well will be able to write feedback. So, if you get stuck struggling on something, there will be people there to sort of provide feedback and help you out along the way. You also get a 17% off discount for purchasing now during the presentation, or any of the pre-order, but once the presentation ends, this goes away. And then you also get a money-back guarantee. And I actually want to tell you a story about why I included this. So when I was first starting out coaching, I found this platform called Numi. And it's basically like a coaching directory, but they have a paid service that essentially helps to bring you clients. And I'm actually pretty skeptical. Any sort of sales, anything, I'm pretty skeptical and usually won't buy. But with Numi, they had this interesting offer where they said, we're so confident that our service works that it was an annual subscription. They said, if you don't make your money back within the first year, then we will refund you everything that you've paid in. And that gave me the confidence and sort of security to make the investment in myself, which I have since discovered is the single most valuable investment that you can make, is investing in yourself. And it helped me launch my coaching business, which has brought amazing, wonderful things into my life, like the people sitting in this call right now. So that's why I wanted to include a money-back guarantee. And the way that this one works is that it's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you can go through the whole course. If you decide, this actually isn't helpful for me, just shoot me an email letting me know, what wasn't helpful about it so that I can continue to improve it. And I'll give you back any money that you've paid in. The other thing is that you're supporting mental health. So the reason that I'm able to put on an event like this at all, the reason that I'm able to reach any of y'all is because of people that have already sort of supported mental health by working with me. And so by supporting this course, you also help me to reach more people and create more resources and, hopefully help more people with their mental health. And then throughout the year, you'll also get, bonus materials as I, release more and iterate on the course, all that sort of stuff. And all of this is for less than an Amazon Prime subscription. So Amazon Prime is around $16 a month right now, I think. And this course is about $12 a month paid annually. So again, we asked the question, how do you know it works? Well, you don't. You're gonna have to experience it for yourself, which is why I include the guarantee. But one of the things that was important to me was I wanted to make sure that this course actually helped people. And so I launched a beta version of this course to see what it was like for people. And here are some of the things that people said. Sean has a way of breaking down complex topics by using several examples, and I consistently found that at least one of his examples always resonated with my own understanding. This allowed me to grasp concepts I might have otherwise struggled with. Here's another one. I just closed out of something. Hold on. There we go. Okay, there we go. His inclusion of common narratives helped to bring awareness and understanding to my own narrative, and it felt good to be seen and understood. Learning that the different parts of me have to be shown that they can trust me has been such a transformative journey for me. Although much of the course material was familiar to me, the way Sean structured it and fleshed it out was so clear. This clarity helped me to understand at a deeper level the content of each topic or section. This is a really important concept. This idea that we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. A lot of people that I work with, they will say, I know my problems, I know the roots of my problems, I just don't know, knowing it doesn't fix it. And my understanding of the reason that is because they may understand it, but they haven't actually emotionally integrated. They haven't actually felt it. And so a big part of the course is tactical ways to actually integrate what it is that you already know, the gold star answer that you know. The distinction that affirming / acknowledging something is not the same as condoning it has been a profound paradigm shift for me. So this is something that I talk about in the validation section of the course, which is part of the whole emotional empowerment section. And then providing an emotional toolkit all in one place was so useful and valuable to me just by itself, let alone the rest of the course. So the course is 3 sections. It's the E.N.D process. And so the emotional empowerment section of the course was very valuable, let alone the rest of the course. And then finally, last thing, I've been in therapy for many years now. The tools laid out in this course are tools I discovered after many years and lots of money with a good therapist. So again, the course is 17% off currently, and you get all these cool goodies if you buy today, including the physical workbook and all that good stuff. And that is the presentation. Like I said, I do want to interact with y'all and sort of answer any questions that you may have, provide any value that I can. So if y'all have any questions, I would love to hear them. I'm gonna look in the chats. I haven't been looking at chats. I'll look in the chats just to see if there are any questions already. Okay. Let's see. Okay, cool. So yeah, and y'all are also welcome to unmute and chat if you want to. Any questions?
Hey, Sean.
Hello.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there any interaction with you on the course, or is it completely self-led?
So the interaction with me throughout the course is the comments. So if you leave a comment on the course, I can personally respond to that and like give feedback if you're feeling stuck or anything like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Of course. Thanks for asking. Any other questions?
Yeah, I was curious. Do you have a sense from having laid out the course of how long you should allow to actually go through the course?
Ooh, that's tricky. I think it's really going to be individual. So what I can say is that the course videos are about 3 hours in length total, but maybe 3.5. But a lot of the work that you're going to be doing, I mean, the course is really, it is meant to emulate my coaching process. And so, and at a self-paced rate. So in my coaching process, the average amount of time that a client stays with me is a little over a year. And so, and I think that the reason for that, there's a few different sort of life cycles of a client that I've seen. The first life cycle is somebody comes in with a problem. We solve that problem and they say, thanks so much, goodbye. And that's great. Second one is we solve that problem and they say, oh, well, we solved that problem. What other problems could we solve? And so then we start solving other problems. The third is we've actually kind of solved all their problems. Like on a day-to-day basis, they're pretty good. But then we start to intentionally Dharma design. We start to intentionally craft a life that is fulfilling for them. And then the final is, we've intentionally crafted a life that is fulfilling for them. They feel pretty good and happy, but they just like having external perspective on retainer. And so week to week, we may not have a whole lot to talk about, but they sort of stick around. And so depending where you are in that life cycle, where you want to sit in that life cycle, I think it'll vary a lot. For somebody who is just looking to solve a single problem, I think that, a lot of clients will stick around for like 12 weeks and then they're good. And then for somebody who is in the final stage, it can be, I've worked with clients for years that again are in that stage of like, they're good. They just like having external perspective on retainer.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. Any other? I see that we just got a sale. I'm not sure who it was, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Shoot.
Because I worked through the beta and I'm wondering, because I didn't do the workbook, I would like to go back and do the workbook.
Yeah.
But if there's an area that you're really struggling with, like, is it feasible to get a session with you? Because I know you're very busy and booked. Or is that kind of what the community is for if like you need that external perspective?
Yeah, I mean, if you would like to just, you say, screw the course, I just want to work with Sean as a coach. That is totally fine. I'm happy to schedule a session with you. And again, something that's really important to me is that you feel good about who it is that you're working with, and that you can actually get, what you need from the person that you're working with. So what I do with new clients is that we do a free session. It's 50 minutes. It's not like a consultation. It's just like what I would do for a first session. And then if it feels good, then we continue. So if that's something that you're interested in, we can totally do that.
Can you provide a little more detail about what the community would be like?
Yeah, so the community is on Substack. So there's multiple ways that the Substack community works. So the first is that you get, like free resources from me each week. The second is that in the community portion for the course, it is essentially the comments section of the course. So when I send out the course to the people that purchased it, you'll see that there is it looks very much like an email with a video in it, but there are multiple videos listed. And then there's a place where you can like leave comments and read other people's comments, that sort of stuff. And so you're able to comment there and then comment on other people's comments, all that sort of stuff. And then there's also on Substack, there's like a chat feature, essentially, like a group chat feature where all the people that sign up for the course can chat with each other in a particular chat room. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, cool. Any other questions?
Yeah, how do you purchase the course?
It's in the link that I sent in the chat. I'll send it one more time. And I'll send it in the different chats. So those are that's the link to it, and it should guide you through the process from there. But it's so normally it's $150 for the course. Because it's 17% off, it's $125 right now. And then you also get the workbook, which is normally $50. And you get the physical workbook if you want to provide your address, of course.
Is that the same as subscribing? Because that's the only thing I see when I click the link.
Yes.
To subscribe.
Yes. And then if you want to cancel or anything like that, you can do that at any time.
Ah, okay.
You need to sign up for Substack to be able to purchase the course. So I think that the way that it works is that I've gone through the process, and you enter your email, and then it should lead you to the purchase page, and so you should be able to purchase from there. I don't think that it requires you like set up an account necessarily. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
Cycle course. That's it.
Cool. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming. I really appreciate it. And thank you to the individuals who decide to purchase the course. And I really appreciate the individual who did decide to purchase the course. I haven't looked at who it is specifically, but I really appreciate it. Thank you. And yeah. Should I? This is gonna the like promotional offer or whatever is gonna go away once I end the presentation. So anyone that wants me to wait a second while we whatever before we wrap up.
Yeah, please wait a second.
Okay.
Is there a difference in perks between the annual and the founding member?
The founding member it's an interesting feature of Substack. It is basically if you just want to support mental health more or me more, you are able to choose to pay more if you want to. So if you enter any amount in there that is greater than the annual price, it will allow you to do that. That's very nice if anyone decides to do that. There is zero pressure whatsoever to do anything like that.
Anymore?
It's saying there's more cards. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm curious, just because, you know,
Ah.
this is my first course that I'm launching, and it is also the first sort of presentation of this style that I've done. I'm curious for y'all. I mean, we're you know, fuck it, we do it live. Thoughts? How did y'all feel during the presentation?
Says our card number is incomplete.
Uh-oh.
What?
Peace of mind. Na, 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 na.
One thing that we might be able to do is, if you want, is we can like hop into, I can end here and we can like hop into a breakout call to help you with any of that stuff, if that would be more convenient.
I think we're past that now. It seems you already have an account.
Oh, that's great. You might need to use whatever email you have for the account. But anyway, I'll leave it up for a little bit after the presentation so that, you know, we can get any sort of technical stuff sorted out. But
Okay.
yeah,
772.
I have another question.
shoot.
Because this is only, I know it's like a lengthy kind of concept that people would be working through,
Yeah.
but you have plans to like add other type of really intensive work like this with that same subscription if it like doesn't take a year for somebody to work through?
Yes.
Because I know you have like all your other like Substack articles and such.
Yeah, so the idea is that there would be sort of, you know, additional things, basically edits, or what do they call, like patch updates that I would make to the course. And then there would also be, how do I describe it? In the new year, as I continue working on stuff, I'll continue to like put out courses and stuff like that. It is meant to be sort of a subscription platform where you can get access to a whole bunch of stuff. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Cool.
And I just wanted to say I'm very excited to have been a part of this and happy to give you feedback. But before I do, I want to.
I'll send you. I'm gonna send out a recording to everybody that registered, so you'll be able to watch the recording of the presentation. Hello. Nice to see your face for a second. Okay. Any other questions before we wrap up? All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming. Really does mean a lot to me. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you all around.
Thanks, Sean.
Okay. Hi, stream. Hello, stream. I don't know if anyone is actually here from stream. But thanks for hanging out, y'all. And thanks for watching the presentation and everything. And I'll see y'all later. Bye. Okay, it's over. Oh, wait. It's not over.